Hi, guys. I'm Adam with See You Later Leaner, and I'm here with a special client today. I'm here with my client, Hannah, who just came here for See You Later Leaner Experience Weekend,
Yes.
all the way from Arizona, toughed out how long of a drive?
It was 5.5 hours.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And she got to come with her friend Gila, who had a great time here. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring Hannah onto the podcast is we actually have some content we filmed that we've not put out yet, where you actually came to visit in the off season. But Hannah's journey is really special for a lot of different reasons. We overcame some gut health issues together. She's been in an off season, which has been a huge reflection of just what your body can do when it's responding better to digesting food. And it's funny because I've heard coaches say, that gut health's not that important or it's just quackery. So let's talk about this a bit and kind of what we went through and how we've come to the point that we're at now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have always had gut issues with my celiac disease. But back in 2022, I'd done a round of antibiotics, and I think that's what really caused the SIBO. Because we met October 2022, went into a prep for a show in 2023, and we were having issues with my carb up and my stomach not extending. And so I told you, I was like, I just want to go into an off season, grow more. And so as we started reversing the weight, like I was following everything, how you had set it up for me. And the weight just was skyrocketing. And I'll never forget one of the nights I got home from work and my stomach was so extended and I was so uncomfortable. And you're like, okay, let's dig into this a little bit. And I've never had a coach actually dig into my gut health. It's always like, oh, you just need a probiotic or you just need magnesium, or it was like putting a Band-Aid on something versus actually getting to the root cause of the issue. So you were the first person to actually dig into that a little bit with me. And so we tried to go more the medical route of getting the actual antibiotic for SIBO. And the doctors just wasn't working with us. So we did more the holistic approach, which I actually appreciate. My mom, I grew up, she was a nutritionist and everything. So I'd much rather go that route. And some people it's hard for. We went into the SIBO protocol for 12 weeks and I stuck to everything. It was honestly like a prep, I'd wake up, I'd take my supplements, I'd eat, we were in that keto diet. It wasn't fun by any means, especially coming out of a prep and a reverse. It was mentally taxing, but because I have so many goals in the sport of getting my pro card and seeing where I can take it, I was like, no, I need to do this for my competing career. So that made it easier to accomplish. And so we went through the whole SIBO protocol. We started reversing out of it back in towards the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, we started reversing out of it. And it just transformed my off season from there. It was the shape was shaping, my stomach wasn't extended, uncomfortable or anything like that. And then into this prep, I was just telling my husband, I'm like, my waist has never been this tight in a prep ever. I actually have a competitor's waist finally. And that's just, it feels good to know that we did it right.
Absolutely. It takes time with these, situations. But one thing you mentioned is just feeling swollen, and the upfeeding process is sometimes one of the best times for a coach to assess this because, you see trends with clients and, I'm trying to think back that far, but I kind of remember gosh, we're not even 200 carbs yet. And most people can handle that. So why are we not seeing? And, that for me was a red flag from an analysis standpoint.
Yes.
And and that's the blanket statement is a coach will be the first to put someone on a probiotic. But if you're causing more fermentation, that's like shaking up a can of Coke and then just letting it sit there without finally poking the hole in it.
Right.
So it can make you feel worse. And then you're just throwing probiotics that you don't even know the client's short in, or, without the testing. So
Yes.
this is something I see all the time with clients. And a lot of coaches don't believe in the nutrient deficiencies that happen when you're not digesting or assimilating nutrients. And I think that's the big game changer on
Yes.
why your growth has been so crazy. And also to add, Hannah's a natural competitor. So this hasn't been something, we just put her on a cycle to grow. Like, this has been finely tailored and manicured for her success. And I think that's one of my favorite things about your SIBO is the fact that you are natural. We did it with no medication, even though we kind of tried to go through the doctors. And we can do it both ways over here. We don't just have one way.
Right.
And unfortunately, your doctor was very much less than helpful.
Yes.
They wouldn't even show us test results.
No, they kept trying to, I don't want to use the word gaslight, but they were trying to gaslight me into saying that I didn't have SIBO, and like all of the symptoms lined up. And
Yeah.
then we treated it like it was SIBO, and go figure, we got the die-off symptoms and we got everything that unfolded. And so I was really frustrated with him that he wouldn't like listen to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, like I'm telling you.
It was like he was hiding something too.
Yeah. They wanted to do so many other routes, and I was just like, no, like I really do think it's this thing, like let's treat this. And so I am really grateful for your guidance in that, because so many people just would not listen to me.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
Well, you make it easy. You never miss a check-in, that's for sure. Um, Another thing I want to talk about is I don't think people realize how far you've came outside of bodybuilding. I think this is one of the coolest transformations I have seen. And when you started with me, you sent me photos from basically a mobile, like you lived out of a mobile
I
home.
did.
Like you guys could pack up and go anywhere at any time.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool that you guys, put stock into a loving and living situation, and you financially made bodybuilding work for you somehow, some way.
Yes.
And you and Colton have been working so hard. You're on your third, I guess I would call it a third job increase or promotion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, like, not only have you had this physical level up, but you have had a financial and just life level up.
Yeah, my husband wanted to go to school. We had owned a house back in 2019. We bought a house, and during COVID, we moved up to our hometown for the year, and we rented, and he was working with my sister selling cars, and he was just like, I just don't want to do this the rest of my life. I was like, well, let's get you into school, and how can we do this to where we can afford it? And we sold our house. We bought a fifth wheel. We paid off all of our debts. And he went to school for the 3 years. I worked multiple jobs to get him through school, and he worked a part-time job. And we, paying off all the debts at the beginning of that and living in the fifth wheel, it made our rent like next to nothing. And that's kind of how we were able to really get through that and get him through school. And then he graduated, and he started working six shifts in a row, and we saved up a down payment for the house. And we bought a house last year, and I was not sad to get out of that fifth wheel.
Yeah.
But I told him, I was like, if we could survive living in a fifth wheel, like next to each other for 3 years, our marriage will survive anything.
Yeah.
But so we do joke about that. But yeah, we did put in the reps of that as well, and buying the house. Thank God I was in an off season, because buying a house is so stressful.
Yeah, it is.
It is so stressful. And then I was in a very toxic work environment at the time. I was working at Texas Roadhouse, and the emotional taxing that the management would cause, and the coworkers. And then on top of that, having to act with tables the entire night. It just, as an introvert, it was very taxing. And so that whole process was tiring, but
Mm-hmm.
is cool to really reap the benefits of everything now. You know, we're in our own home. I was able to find a job in my old career of physical therapy, and, you know, Colton's doing great with his job now. And so, yeah, and we have set it up to where, you know, I can still do this hobby. I do a lot of things to be able to afford this hobby. I give up a lot of things to be able to afford this hobby, but I'm okay with that because bodybuilding is what I love. You know?
I love that. Seeing the physical and financial glow up is just absolutely incredible. And I think the two coincide quite a bit, you know,
Yeah.
because no one's going to bail you out on your body. Like, obviously,
Right.
a coach will help you, but you have to put in the work, and
Yeah.
even like financially. But I think sometimes we are almost feel entitled with our bodies, like, hey, I should be able to eat that. And
Yeah.
then you try and you gain weight, or maybe you don't reach your goal and find out, wow, I can't. But we almost expect, like, gosh, I should be able to because I see my friend do it. But
Yes.
physical fitness and physical finance is just like finance. And I like to kind of compare the two, because I think the more we think of our bodies as finances and budget, we need to
Yeah.
budget our nutrition and our exercise just like we do our physical finances as well.
It's so true because, like, my sister, she can eat almost 600 grams of carbs in the off season. I can't do that, and that's okay. But learning what our bodies can and can't do, there's no competitor ever that is going to be the same.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important just to take your own journey and follow your own journey and not look at everybody else's journey, because everybody's going to be different.
Right.
And
Yeah.
same with finances. Like, just everybody's going to be different, where you come from, what you can afford, what you find is important, not important. Like, it's just following, like, that's the great thing about bodybuilding is it's your journey, how you're growing, how you're learning, how you're transforming.
Hmm.
It's really like, it really is a self-independent sport. It's about nobody else but yourself and your growth and your mental growth and everything like that.
I love that you said your journey, because you and your sister are both elite competitors.
Yes.
Gila's an elite competitor as
Yes.
well. And all three of you have different coaches, different journeys. And I think that's so cool, because neither one of you guys um, misstep or maybe get like, I want to say, wide eyes for another coach just based
Right.
on, and a lot of people do. And I
Yeah.
think that's what's really interesting about the dynamic of you three is you guys don't feel like you have to be on the same team, or,
Yeah.
you know, and that's unique actually, because a lot of people can't handle hearing like, oh, well, like my sister's eating 600 grams of carbs. I want that. So I'm going to hire that
It
coach to
is
do that.
so true. I feel like, yes, people always think the grass is greener on the other side, right? Like, I get to hear Hyla's story and what her and her coach is doing, and I think it's awesome what her journey is. And then I hear Alyssa's journey with Dylan, but I have my own journey with you.
Yeah.
And all three of us can appreciate, because we all know that we're with great coaches,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
that have our best intentions and our health at heart and everything. So that is easier to appreciate everyone's journey. I will
That's
say
true.
sometimes it's harder to hear friends, and you know, the coach is like not have the healthiest protocols. But you know, it's their journey. So you just listen, you know,
Yeah.
but we just can appreciate where each of us are at, because it's not all going to be the same,
Yeah.
you know?
And you're also someone that's not afraid to get in the mud and grind when you need to and not feel guilty for that.
You
know?
got to. Like, I will say, if you're thinking about competing, there's never going to be a moment where it's not going to be hard.
Right.
You're going to have hard moments. You're going to have moments where you're sitting in your car and you're crying and you're like, why am I doing this? And then having your important, deep why is why you're doing this, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's never going to be easy. So if you think you're going to get into the sport and it's just going to be smooth sailing, don't get into the sport.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is your why?
My why, it's so funny because people have asked me that. My why I didn't grow up like an athlete. I was very much a drama geek, and I never, when things got hard, I would always quit. I was just that type of teenager.
Interesting.
And when I got married to Colton, Alyssa got into bodybuilding, and I was like, I really like want to try this. And I went through my first prep, and I really did push. I did well. And I was like, I want to do something for me. Like, I want to build this athlete mindset, because who was I listening to? I think it actually was Kerrigan Pike. She was talking about her athlete mindset. And I'm like, what do they mean athlete mindset, right?
Yeah.
And now I realize what this athlete mindset is. And it's really like, it's pushing when things get hard and understanding why you're doing it for whether it's yourself or whatever your why is, right? And so to sum it up, my why is I wanted to know that I could do hard things regardless of what came of it, right? Like,
Wow.
I can do hard things. Like, I don't want life to be easy. I was telling Colton this, he's like, I just don't see how you find bodybuilding fun. And I'm like, it's so rewarding at the end of the day to sit there and be like, today wasn't boring because I really pushed myself. What else would I be doing?
Yeah.
Whenever I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do cardio, I'm like, but what else would I be doing if I wasn't doing my cardio? Be sitting on the couch, eating something I'm probably not supposed to, just kind of being lazy. And so bodybuilding gives me that chance to just constantly challenge myself in life. And because I have literally built that mindset from 2019 to now, it's like, it's made other aspects in my life easier because I have built that mental strength that I was looking for. And so that's my why, is to prove to myself that I can do hard things, which maybe isn't enough for some people, and that's okay, but it is enough for me, because damn, would my 13-year-old self that couldn't even run around the track without crying be so proud of who I am today. And that's enough for me. Like, that's what wakes me up in the morning, is basically to make my past self really, really proud. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's the same reason my why is different now that I don't compete, but Sarah knows this. I hate doing legs. I really do. Do I want bigger legs? Yes, but it's not like my major focus.
Yeah.
I want other muscle groups to look better, but I do the leg day because it's my hardest day of the week. And I feel if I skip it, it's always the trend. And sometimes I go in there and I say, gosh, maybe I'll just go a little bit lighter today, but I never do, because I'm just like, if I what's out, it's going to be the trend. It does feel really good to achieve that. And a lot of people just avoid the hard shit.
They do. And I'm like, unfortunately, life, you can't avoid the hard shit. You're going to have that job. You're going to have that boss. You're going to have that friend. You're going to have that family member that's going to make your life hard.
Yeah.
And bodybuilding has made handling those things in my life way easier. And I will say, like, some preps I wasn't as on top of it as I could have been, but that's what's cool about this prep, is like, I really have had that pro mindset, but I haven't always had that mindset. It has taken time and growth and reps and doing the hard things and being like, okay, we just got to get the cardio done.
Yeah.
And just, also understanding on your hard days, giving yourself the mental grace that you need. Like, this past Monday was one of my hardest days. I started my new job. I was there for 12 hours and I still had to do shoulders and my 45 minutes of cardio. And I remember doing it, and I got out of the gym and I just started crying. I'm like, I'm just so tired and so hungry. And then I stopped and I was like, Hannah, it's just a really hard day. You got it done. Go home, take your shower, and go to bed. Tomorrow's a new day. And just understanding that the hard shit is going to be there, giving yourself the grace, but getting it done.
Yeah.
Getting it done.
Absolutely. I love that. And you have seemed to make it look effortless. Although, obviously,
that's
I know
good.
it's not. And
No,
it's really cool to see do this and talk about it,
Yeah.
you know.
It it definitely it's funny because we went up to our hometown for a friend's wedding, and I went to the gym. I had to get my cardio and my lift in, even though we're traveling, right? And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you look so good. Like, you look so good." I'm like, "Thank you. I really appreciate that." She's like, "I just started and I'm really hoping to look like you." And I was like, "Thanks. I've been at this for 6 years." And she's all, 6 years? And I'm like, "Yeah, like it takes time. Like, I don't think people realize, like, you're not going to wake up and be like that pro mindset. You're not going to
Hmm.
wake up and just be ready to hit all of your reps and sets. Like, as especially someone coming from me that didn't have that already, it's going to take time, and it takes a lot
Hmm.
of time, and that's okay. That's the fun part, is it's your journey, and the
Yeah.
time is what is where you get the growth as a person. And so
Yeah.
enjoying that time, because the time's going to pass regardless.
Hmm.
6 years was going to pass regardless.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine if I didn't keep trying every year and just be like, "Ugh, I'm never going to get there." And
Yeah.
like, I was going to turn 26 one day regardless. And I'm so glad that I stuck with it.
Yeah. And you found your thing, which was the gym and lifting
Yeah.
and bodybuilding. And we talked a lot about music this
Yeah,
weekend because
we
you're very
did.
much into the same types of music I am
Yes.
for lifting. And I think this journey in life and fitness is much like music. And, bodybuilding is the music, that fitness that you choose to embark in. But
Yeah.
that could be endurance running or for somebody
Right.
else. So you may like try something and not like listening to it, but you can also try something else. And I think everyone just needs to find something that keeps them healthy, whether it's running.
Yeah.
And I think bodybuilders, unfortunately, we might be the worst industry about if you're not doing it our way, it's not right. And I think
It
that
is
gets really
so
confusing
true.
for the bodybuilding industry because our demographic of people tend to be that way. But I tend to be, more a health coach than always a bodybuilding coach. And, there are a lot of walks of life that come through my doors and
Yeah.
just being supportive. And what is interesting about your conversation with that girl, she may want to look like you and then just realize, oh man, that wasn't the style of music I really like to listen to if she
Right.
got her butt whooped on a leg day. But she may be like, well, maybe I can achieve the leanness that she had and maybe not the muscle. So I'm going to run
Yeah.
instead. So you're at least 50% there.
I
And
think what anybody chooses to do to challenge themselves in life, whether, like, me, I love rock climbing. Colton, he loves basketball, he loves golf. That's what he does to
hmm.
challenge himself. And I know Hyla, she loves working with animals and birds and everything, and that's what she does to challenge herself outside of bodybuilding. And it's like, it doesn't always have to be bodybuilding to challenge yourself. I think that's what people don't understand about some bodybuilders when they post on social media. They think that's all they do, and that might be the case for some.
Hmm.
But outside of that, a lot of us have like lives.
Yeah.
We have lives and interests, and it's okay not to take the bodybuilding route. I tell people who go to the gym, you don't have to bodybuild. Once you start counting macros and everything, you don't have to. The next step does not have to be bodybuilding. It
Yeah.
is okay. Your next step could be a strongman competition. Your next step could be a CrossFit competition.
Yeah.
Like, it could be so many different things. It's what's finding you that challenges you and makes you a better person. And I think a lot of people need to understand that, like, bodybuilding is great for a lot of people, but it's not for everyone, and that is totally okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think this is an amazing start to what will future be a series. We want to highlight Hannah as a exceptional natural bikini competitor in the industry, and our plan is to do a few shows this year, which we will keep you guys along for the ride. And by the end of the year, she will be at the Ben Weeder competing for her pro card, which we're really excited to take her there.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for watching. And thank you, Hannah, so much
Absolutely.
for being on the podcast today. And we will see you later, leaner.